It is Wednesday, September 27th, 2023, and today is, of course, our weekly cult meeting, Wizard Wednesday. Channeling in from the Quantum Downs, this is the Black Goat of the Wood, Elf J Trul, and joining me is...
You got Dotta, hey!
Hello.
The bear.
And the bear.
What up?
The bear. Guys, I only want to talk about one important thing today. The most important thing that's happening in all of crypto. The entire show is going to be devoted to, of course, BitBoy drama. What do you think?
I gotta go. I'll talk to you later.
I just feel bad for mentally ill people. I haven't been tracking him closely enough to have any sort of shade and frown.
I'm joking. We're not going to talk about BitBoy at all. But no, we actually do have a big show today. We actually have a lot of cult questions today, and some really good ones too. I feel like I'm going to be talking a lot, just answering these, because a lot of them are lore-based questions. I want to talk a little bit about Pudgy Penguins. We've got a big GoblinTown update, and we might let Dotta talk about words for a little bit. So yeah, I guess, where should we start?
How about some cult questions?
All right, how about some cult questions? Let's do...
Is Elf rugging right now?
No, I can hear him.
I gotta leave.
There, see ya.
Bye.
Okay, so Bill is asking, is it true that the Dread Tower is infested with large rodents? Bill, I think that's probably true, and I don't know if you are making a Princess Bride reference. But yeah, the Dread Tower certainly has large rodents. He's also asking, is the Nightmare Dominion a place where wizards hallucinate and see their nightmares, or rather just a scary place? Bill, the idea of hallucinating nightmares is really badass. I never even thought about that, but I think that's definitely what happens there. And you should put that in the Wikipedia in the Dread Tower entrance. That's fantastic. Okay, and then so Sharon has a Dread Tower related question for all of us. Speaking of the Dread Tower, is there anything that the team is afraid of? Do you guys have any fears?
I don't want to watch any more sacrificing your soul to a jelly donut videos. I'm over that.
It is so funny how much that affected you, Dotta.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm afraid of heights.
Oh, me too.
I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah, I'm afraid of heights too. They kind of make me sick. When I was a kid, though, I had this super irrational fear of, this is so dumb, that I would suddenly out of nowhere be just magically transported to the bottom of the ocean. And that thought just terrified me.
Oh, no, totally. Well, okay, so I don't feel that when I'm on land, but like if I'm I have like a little pool. It's like I just picked up at the sports store. It's like a above ground vinyl cheapo pool, but it's deep enough. And if I like close my eyes and dunk under, then like I always imagine I'm gonna like pop back up and open my eyes and I'm gonna be like in the ocean at night. I totally think that to this day still.
There you go.
Ooh, I have something else I was super afraid of when I was a little kid. Do you guys remember that movie Ghoulies?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so Ghoulies was like this super cheesy like B horror movie, and the cover. I remember walking through West Coast Video, which was like pre-Blockbuster, and like looking at all the movie boxes, and I looked over and I saw Ghoulies, and it has like the box poster is this little green dude popping out of a toilet, and I, no joke, was afraid to go to the bathroom for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Bear, I know exactly what you're talking about.
My so like my dad used to have an office upstairs, and he had like one of these really like tall like black chairs in like the 90s, and then I think it was the 90s, and then you know that movie Gremlins?
Yeah.
And then like there was the trailer where there was like the gremlin turned around in a business chair and he's like wearing a suit. I was so scared of that. Whenever I had to go upstairs to my dad's office at night, I was scared that the chair was going to turn around and there was going to be a gremlin there in a suit. Oh man.
Yeah, this is a good question.
Yeah.
Matto, do you have any weird fears?
I fear. I don't know. I have to think about that. I'm sure there are some, but nothing. I've probably like some repressed memories you're going to try to bring up right now. Oh, I think actually, you know what? The Nightmare on Elm Street movies, when I was younger, and I had like, I didn't even see the full movie. I think what it was is I walked in on like a clip of it, and there was a specific clip where like I think one of the characters says like, "You're scum" to Freddy Krueger, and like I assumed his name was Scum because like they called him Scum or
Funny.
whatever, and like I would just like for like the longest time I would imagine if I was walking down the stairs at like dark and like the lights are off or whatever, but like I want to get a cup of water, like I would just like in the back of my head think like Scum is gonna get me.
Yeah.
And like I would like turn around the corner and be like, "Is Scum there?"
And yeah, for me that was
That's
Chucky.
awesome.
I would go to.
Yeah, Chucky's pretty scary. Jay Mender is saying that Dobby was
Oh,
his nightmare.
Yeah, I hate
I'd be
Dobby.
thrilled if
Dobby's
Dobby
gross.
showed up in my house. He'd do whatever I tell him.
If Dobby showed up in my house, I would lose my mind.
What about if Smeagol showed up in your house?
Yeah, Smeagol would be a problem.
Yeah, that would be a problem. I do have a phobia, but I'm embarrassed to talk about
Okay,
it.
well, there's only 100 people here.
Yeah.
No, people will think I'm too
Nope.
weird. I'll bring it up another time.
Does it have to do with your bathroom?
Let's all remember to ask Bear about his embarrassing fear next time. Okay, Pleasures has sort of a flip side question. Very simple. Are you happy?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go first. I'm incredibly happy.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Honestly, me too. And it's straight up because of Forgotten Runes. If I was back in my old life, pre-Forgotten Runes, I think my answer would have been meh. But honestly, Forgotten Runes has made me super happy.
I'm pretty happy.
No joke.
I'm pretty happy. I don't really like to talk about how great my life is because I don't want to make other people feel bad. That's how I feel about that.
Oh.
Got a couple golden retrievers, a couple of kids, live in the woods. Pretty nice. Get to hang out with my wizard friends all day. I love it.
You really can't ask for much better. You really can't. Okay, Bear. I have a question for you, actually, from Thread. He says, "What impact, if any, does recent news of the writer's strike ending have on the show?"
It's a good question. And by the way, like, congrats to the writers for striking a deal with the studios and the streamers. I think it was
totally agree.
You know, not all the details are out, but it feels like it was a win for them. So you know, they stuck it out. I know a lot of my friends are like have been out of work for a long time, and you know, everybody's gearing up to come back. But as far as our show, I actually think. I mean, I know it's good for us. You know, again, I don't like to like get into all the minutia and detail of it, but I think specifically for the show, it's actually pretty good timing. I think, right? Nothing's guaranteed, but it feels like the conversations we're having are at the right time, I guess I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost quantum synchronicity for this strike to play out like it did.
And we've been having a lot of meetings that Derek is in too.
Yeah, we just met with Derek last couple of weeks. We've seen him a couple of times.
Yeah, so it's feeling good. Long haul.
Yep. Okay, a couple of Halloween questions. Halloween is like a month away. So Malevolent is asking, basically, are we going to do the Nightmare Imp Door round 2? You know, the team is going back and forth on this. I'm kind of feeling what we might do, and this is not finalized, but I don't think we're going to give away Athenaeum items at the door. I'm thinking I might just draw like a special sort of commemorative Forgotten Runes illustration. And I don't think I'm going to do pixel art. I think I'm going to do, I don't know, non-pixel art.
That's fun.
Yeah, yeah, and that might be the Nightmare Imp's treat for this year. I would love to sort of establish sort of a tradition of knocking on the Imp store for Halloween. Trick or treat is just such an awesome cultural event. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. So I guess the answer is malevolent. You're just gonna have to knock on the door and see when Halloween arrives.
I think that one of the things that we always struggle with is this, having limited resources. Do you spend time, like, how do you make sure that you're focusing on the big things and you're making sure that you make progress on like the biggest possible wins for the long-term success of the cult, while at the same time, like having intermediate events to do in the meantime? And I think that we probably haven't done this perfectly ever. And it's something that we're always flopping back and forth between. So, for example, on the Halloween event, one of the things that I really want to do is more events that are like everlasting, right? More events like the Sacred Flame, where you could go and you could burn a soul today. That's always open. Like I loved unlocking the door for the beasts, and I loved the cadence of the beast spawn and knocking on the Nightmare Imp's door and visiting Gigas Chad for Christmas. Like I love all those things, but I think that the next things that I want to work on that are these like events should be something that you can just use forever. Yeah, we have irons in the fire there, but I don't think we're gonna do like you come and you knock on the door and you like get a bunch of new Athenium items and it's like all upgraded or anything like that. I don't think we're gonna do that this year.
Yep. And then speaking of burn, actually, Bitvargan is asking when next burn.
Oh no.
The soul burn is ongoing. I mean, I think there's still some sacred flames out there that can be used at any time. But I think he's asking about a different kind of burn, like a warrior burn or a pony burn.
Stay
Nothing in
tuned.
plans. Stay
Yeah.
tuned. Yeah.
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 Being discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, always being discussed.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go to a lore question. Feckless, you asked a really fun lore question. Feckless is asking, where are some good places in the Runeverse for illegal street racing? And then he's also asking, where is the second largest population of goblins? Let me start with that second part. So GoblinTown is of course the most concentrated spot for goblinkind, but of course they are all over the Runeverse and they can be found in every region. Um, and though most goblins do indeed have a sordid reputation, there are rare goblins who are held in high esteem. There's a few goblin academics that can be found in the academies of the Blue Bastion, and there's even a small handful of goblin healers at Avalon. But I would say the second most concentrated places for goblin kind are Obsidian City and the ports of Alisar's Keep. Um, Obsidian City attracts goblins because of its weapons markets and the steady supply of rare minerals and gemstones and ore. And then the ports of Alisar's Keep are a great place for goblins to trade contraband and stolen goods. Um, Now, as for illegal street racing, yeah, I mean, I think GoblinTown is, of course, has a real thriving legal street racing culture. Entire gangs in GoblinTown are formed around this activity, and the betting here has stakes that rival what you would see at Black Sands pony racing. Um, of course, these racing crews have branched out of the city and into the arid lands east of GoblinTown, all the way to Obsidian City. I think you can find a high concentration of this racing in Manticore Valley. This is a region that is, of course, very rich in minerals and ore. And mining operations over the years have attempted many times to set up shop here, but they failed, of course, because of the dangerous manticores that hunt here. This danger, though, is what draws these Mad Max-like engines to race here for two reasons. One, it keeps the law enforcement and the regulation out, and two, the added element of the occasional racer being devoured by a manticore mid-race adds an irresistible element of excitement. So there you go. That's a good question, Feckless. Okay, general question. Flea is asking, are there any IRL events in the foreseeable future? Bear, you got anything to say about that?
Wait, repeat that?
Are there any IRL events in the foreseeable future?
We're going to be at Comic-Con in a couple of weeks. It's October 12th to the 15th. We're partnering with a big comic retailer to do like signings. So I was thinking about maybe doing like a small get together, either at like a barcade or somewhere. It's not super, it's not like planned at this moment, but I can foresee that happening. It would be, it wouldn't be the big blowout, welcome to the Runeverse type of party, but I think we should probably get some whizzies together and have a couple drinks.
Yeah, and I myself might even be there. So there you go, Shlee. If you can make it to NYC Comic Con.
When is that?
October 12th to the 15th.
You gonna come, Dotta?
I don't think so.
Okay, State of the Art is asking, is there any chance that we would ever get cartoon-style wizards one day? Yeah, State of the Art. We have talked about this for years. We've experimented with different artists and different styles. I don't think we would say no. I think, like, for me personally, the biggest issue with doing it, besides the labor and cost, is that, like, let's say we release a giant collection of like non-pixelated wizards, and then suddenly we split our community PFP usage on Twitter between half pixels and half other style. It kind of like dilutes the brand. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's fine, but I don't know. Do you guys have any input on this?
Bear, do you want to talk about the images you shared?
Oh yeah. So Elf, I'm not sure if you saw, probably not, but I shared some of those experiments we did.
Yep, I see them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. Gosh, we've talked about it for 2 years now, honestly.
Can you talk about who the artist?
Oh yeah, Riley Brown, who's behind the comic book, did these initial sketches, and so these were tests like, how do you handle all the traits? Do we make them more? There's this whole discussion early on about, most PFP projects are like from shoulders up. Maybe we do that, and so we played around with that, and obviously Riley's so talented, and it was really cool to sort of do this exploration. But I think ultimately, yeah. For us, it's like a branding thing. Like, it's interesting to get the cult's thoughts, but it's like, I feel like it's a more complicated decision than I think most people would. You look at it and it's like, yeah, why not? Like, we have the comic book and the show and all this stuff, but yeah, it just feels like it does split a little bit. But I'd be interested to hear what people think.
I think one iteration we talked about is like, if the show were like months away from launching on Netflix or whatever, we might do show style wizards to like as a promo for the show and just to get people hyped about it. But yeah, I don't think we would just do it just randomly. I'd almost be more interested in like one of the cult members, like Marco Fine or Tanya or someone, to just like do the derivative non-pixel collection and sell those. Or I don't know. Matto, do you have some input on it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like it really dilutes much, but just actually comes from, obviously I have a lot of the works of my wizard, and like I don't use my base wizard in the profile picture, but I do have her pinned on my timeline, But yeah, I don't really think it really dilutes it because I mean it still goes back to the fact that like these are like characters and they can kind of be made into they can be expanded on and built on more. I think that keeping like the core aesthetic of it I think still translates even if it's not pixel art style. I think that the cohesion of like wizards, like there's not really that many prominent wizard projects really in NFTs, and especially
Right.
not that have the same aesthetic as we do. I've seen like some other wizard projects, but they're like different in aesthetic and like the direction that they go. So I feel like it comes down to like obviously like the color choice. I think the color palette that Wizards use is really good. I think it's really cohesive, and I think that stands out. Like if we stick to that color palette, I think the palette itself stays really well. But yeah, I don't think it'll really be dilutive. I think that it'll be helpful. And it would still just like it's still tied to the same character, especially like I feel
Yeah.
like the way to do it would probably be like to have somehow like maybe the token be soulbound or something, so that way they're not just like separate collections that are trading like independently of one another. And that may be hard to like implement properly, but I think like keeping core to the idea that like these are characters and they can be expressed in different ways, I think that it won't deviate from that too much. But I do agree that the implementation of it would probably be hard in terms of like how do you actually push it out without it feeling like random, or you put in a lot of the effort and time into it, and like what exactly is the trade-off that you take for allocating those resources to it.
One of the
I'm sure
things
it
that
will be.
oh,
No, go on. No, I was just going to finish up and say that I'm sure that it will be very much liked, but I don't know how much of an impact it will have in terms of like the overall project.
one of the things that I noticed too, like when the market was a bit busier and you had people making websites that ranked like PFPs being used on Twitter. What the algorithms would actually, they'd actually had algorithms that would like look at everyone on Twitter and look at the PFPs of the collections and kind of like see, do the images match, right? And they do a calculation of how many like people from that collection were using their images as their profile. And one of the things is Wizards always ranks horrendously on those charts because none of us use the PFP verbatim as our PFP. Okay, and not none of us, but like, okay, if you look at the people in this chat, mine is cropped. This is not even of the collection. Like mine's not Hedge Wizard Dota. Bear's using 3D. Matto's using art. Tim Smith's using his own art. Jitsy's using his own art. Oz is a painted version, right? Like just on and on. Look through this chat. Chat
Yeah.
above got the illustration,
Yep.
and we're all, Leaf's got the mushroom. Everybody's got like kind of this like creative derivative, and so I think it's wonderful. It's exactly aligned with what the project is. But then there's also this question of like, well, we don't rank that the people are using the wizards directly only because they're counting weird.
Yeah. That it's a good point. It's honestly beautiful, just like looking through everyone here, and there's so many wizards here, and yet it's expressed in a different way, and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I said what I meant when I said that, like, like even if they're different derivatives, like it still feels cohesive. Like you can tell that all the wizards in here, like they have like the same aesthetic in terms of like the same project. So I feel like it wouldn't really dilute it. Like you would still be able to tie it to the same brand. It's just that it will be expressed differently, and it goes back to these are characters more than they are just pictures.
And the fact that we've had Riley do the comic book, right? Like, let's say that we get through all 10 comic books, and then, late next year, maybe we can convince him to redo Wizards in the style they did for the comic. I think that might make more cohesive sense in this moment than it would have, previously, for example. So I would say never. Like, I like this idea of having these kind of, let's call them vectorized or line art wizards. We've established the brand enough that maybe there's room for it.
Yeah, Bear, I'm really sorry that I shot down your illustration. I'm seeing it again in the Secret Tower, and
Are you reconsidering now? Are
I'm
you
reconsidering.
reconsidering?
It is
Okay.
quite beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really big missed opportunity, maybe the biggest mistake we've made as a project.
You and
Yeah,
Sim can team up.
we might even want to just delete the pixel art and replace it with this style.
Yeah, see, Schlee likes it. Schlee's gonna admit we got one.
Wow.
Okay. Oz has a really fun question. So he frames this as a meta question, and it is indeed a meta question. He says, "Does any wizard know about the existence of the Book of Lore?" I think he means like a wizard in the Runiverse. Do they know about the Book of Lore? Um, and does the Book of Lore exist like somewhere in the Runiverse, or is it like sort of cloud storage? Yeah, this is a great question. And so yeah, does any wizard like in the Runiverse know about the Book of Lore? I would say yeah, probably. And one way I like to think about this, so if it's not obvious by now, the film The Neverending Story is a huge influence on Forgotten Runes in so many ways. Um, I'm sure everybody here has seen The Neverending Story. The main character, Bastion, as he's reading this book, The Neverending Story, he's creating the world as he's reading it in a sort of collaborative world building type way. And as he gets deeper into the story, he becomes part of the story. He becomes part of the world. And he finally meets this character near the end called the childlike mistress, Empress. Um, and the childlike empress is this character who has this sort of this meta awareness of the world of Fantasia. She's aware of its existence and how it connects to other worlds. And I think the Book of Lore sort of exerts a similar power over the Runiverse. I think a manifestation of the Book of Lore sits in the Secret Tower, which was the place where all of us summoned our wizards and came into contact with them. Um, and every writer in the Book of Lore has a power like Bastions to create worlds. So to your question, Oz, are there any characters with this sort of metacognizance of the childlike empress? I would say most definitely. Obviously, the Quantum Ouroboros has this metacognizance, but I think there's even a few wizards who have this ability as well. And in fact, believe it or not, there is a wizard character in the TV show script who has this. So I love that you asked that question because yeah, it's actually like a major plot point. I'm not going to say who, but yeah, it's definitely part of the show script currently. Um, Okay, and then Snoop Dogg is asking another sort of really fun question, sort of meta question. He's asking, is there a fundamental unit of magic, like a kilogram, or is it different depending on style? Yeah, Snoop, I think it is different depending on style. The way I think about magic in the Runiverse is how I think about all the real world the way real world people approach religion and mysticism and spirituality. There's countless denominations and expressions of spirituality all over the world, and each one of them have their own kind of systematic structures.
How do you weigh quantum style magic?
I think it's weightless. But when we talk about the fundamentals of magic, it's almost a contradiction in terms. It's like how would one reconcile Eastern spirituality with Western Abrahamic religions? You could certainly find overlapping themes and motifs, but just building a religion about those overlapping themes and motifs might feel flat. And these spiritual practices really become multidimensional once you dive deeper into them and separate them from each other. I imagine in the Runiverse there are academics of the arcane arts who are trying to find these fundamental magical elements, in the same way that physicists continue searching for ever more fundamental particles. And I'm guessing that someday that perhaps both the scientists and the mysticists will meet at the end of that road. So that's a great question, Snoop. Um, okay, I want to talk about Pudgies for just a second. As everybody knows, they've sort of, I was going to say they broke sort of a barrier, but they didn't really, because apes have had a lot of like physical merch. VFriends had toys in stores. I think we've seen a handful of others, but people seem to be really excited about the Pudgies in Walmart. So I don't know, Bear Doe, did you guys, or even Matt, or anyone, do you guys have a take on this? Like why this one just feels maybe more
Yeah.
special?
Okay, so it is not at all straightforward to get a plushie in Walmart, right? Like
Yeah.
any person on earth who's invented a plushie, of which there are many, would love to get a pallet like central floor placement in Walmart. That like I've known people who work in like retail or physical products, and it's like getting into Walmart is it's huge. Like the buyers will not accept anything. It's very, very difficult. And so like props to him. I have no idea how he, I mean, I'm sure Baird has an idea, but I don't have an idea on how he was able to get into Walmart within, a year or whatever of doing this. So I think that's part of why it's really exciting. Somebody posted a tweet that apparently was snark, and it was like from Sotheby's to Walmart or something. And when I saw that, I mean this genuinely. I mean this genuinely, that when I saw that, I thought it was a compliment. I saw that tweet and I didn't think that it was a criticism. I was like, yeah, this is amazing. Like they can go both from like the art house into this like if I had to make my choice, I would rather Wizards be at Walmart than Sotheby's, insofar as like the degree to which you can grow the branding in your business and the potential revenue there is massive.
Wait, that
Um,
was meant as a criticism?
right?
Wow.
And so yeah. And I'm like just like, you gotta be kidding me. So yeah, I think it's incredible work there. Like really, I think you just have to give credit where credit is due.
It's interesting. I didn't read that tweet, but I always remember this quote from Robert Crumb, if you guys know who that is. He was a
Mm-hmm.
big time comic artist and illustrator from the 60s. And he
Yeah.
said something similar about his own artwork. His original drawings have been auctioned in like the most elite art from the most elite art houses, and yet at the same time, he's got like a lot of lowbrow art in like buttons and t-shirts and the whole like the kind of thing you would find at Walmart. So no, I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Me either.
Yeah, I would say I think that there's a huge difference. Like I think what's brought up before is like VFriends and Macy's. I think that like the big difference between that is like with VFriends and Macy's, like you have like it was like maybe a line of like maybe like 4 or 5 plushies. But like I'm gonna be honest, like the VFriends plushies, they look kind of like generic. Like they just kind of look
Yes.
like a giraffe and a peacock. They don't really stand out. They look kind of like something that you would just see on like just on the shelf for like when there's about to be like Thanksgiving or something, and they just like push
Yeah.
out random merch. So like they don't really stand out. There's not really a cohesion like brand wise, really, and also I feel like Macy's is a lot more inaccessible than like Walmart. Like there's no Macy's near me. There's plenty of Walmarts near me, right? Like I think, and Walmart is kind of like embedded in kind of like this kind of like thought of like this is where people go to just kind of like do everyday shopping. Whereas Macy's you probably go to for like maybe like gifts or something, right? Maybe you go there for like if there's a specific need for like going to Macy's. Whereas Walmart is just like I'm gonna go there for like food shopping, and then while I'm there, I'll pick up other stuff. And I think that being in Walmart is a larger deal. Having its own pop up because like it has like its actual like its own stand with like branding and everything there. I think that that's way bigger of a deal, and like it feels cohesive. It feels like it's something that like kid will go by and be like, oh, I want it without like having any idea of what it is. Whereas I feel like the VFriends are kind of like maybe something like your parents would get you if they don't really like they just want to pick up something. Like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like
I
something
do.
like a kid would pick up consciously from the shelf and be like, I really want this peacock character,
Yeah.
Um,
No, don't even get me started on Gary V's artwork.
and, and and then the final thing is that like for VFriends, like I think that the entire the entire incentive is a bit different because like for VFriends is like you're buying into kind of like Gary V, and it's more like kind of like I feel like it's more like VFriends is structured more around being like kind of like a fan club ticket for Gary V and like the kind of stuff that Gary V gives. Like you don't really benefit directly from like Gary V stuff being in stores other than just like Gary V having more attention. Whereas Pudgy's, they seem like they have some kind of roadway for like, hey, if you're part of the community and if you have like, if we get license royalties or whatever for your character being prominent in the community. It feels like it's more like you're a part of it rather than you're kind of piggybacking off of if Gary V does something cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I also I also what I love about what Luca's doing is like you don't always have to reinvent the wheel, right? And so I think Luca's really good at doing is understanding what's happened in the past, what kind of products have been successful, like just categorically, even just picking penguins. Penguins are just a lovable creature. It's like penguins and pandas, and there's just certain animals that people are attracted to because they're cute. And then when you look at like the product itself, everybody's making these comparisons to Club Penguin, and I think that's part of the brilliance, right? Is like people want something that's new but familiar. And so what I think he's done with Pudgy Penguins is create something that feels just new enough that that it works, and you're not having to create this new whole movement. Like everybody understands what a penguin is. He's really smart in having like this digital game, even though it's like quite simple. It looks pretty good. I just think it's smart. It's like
Right.
doing something new but familiar is very key.
Right. Like one of the things that we've even criticized Pudgy Penguins before as a collection is this idea that they're all the same penguin just with different clothes. Right. And like one of the things that we like about Forgotten Runes is that there's this like diversity in like bodies and character types and creatures. But I think in this idea of like going mainstream and having one plushie that represents the entire brand, right? Like that's actually an advantage that it's all the same character with more clothes. I think another thing that I think was interesting to see him do there was that the price point was like $8.99, which in this economy that is so inexpensive. And then when you look at the doll too up close, it looks kind of cheap, right? Like that's as cheap as you can really get a stuffed animal these days, and the material is not high end. It's pretty low end. Like I'm not saying that it's like poor quality necessarily, but like it's a price point, right? It's a lower affordable price point, which means you have like lower affordable materials. I think that when in the height of the bull, when we were looking at doing, for example, the chimeras, one of the things that we told kind of our people that we're doing was like the folks that we're selling these to are not price sensitive. We want it to be this like organic, fluffy, like sheep's wool, and we don't mind charging a higher price for it. And I think that's just a different approach, right? Like we still might do that. But I mean, hats off to Luca just being like, no, we're going to keep it at $9 and keep it affordable for everyone. I think that's really, really interesting.
Bear, to your point about everyone loving penguins and it being something that everybody knows, it's almost like someone should make a project built around an archetype that's been in human culture for thousands of years and has been expressed in literature and film and media for all time. It's almost like somebody should do that.
That's a terrible idea.
Okay.
No, but the last thing I'll say about it is, I think for the most part he's getting love, and he totally should. That whole team, they're totally killing it. But I think this idea of like categories, I think one of the biggest things that has plagued NFTs is that every single project is sort of judged by the same like 4 criteria.
Right.
When in fact there's niches, right? There's pockets, there's categories, and I think that's part of like when you see one of these cycles come through is it's early when sort of there's one main category. I mean, I guess you could say there's like fine art, like one of one stuff, and then there's like PFPs. The space is defined by way more than 2 categories. And so what I love seeing is the penguins go right after a certain audience and demographic. That's fantastic. And when they're breaking through, it makes it easier for other projects. Just like when we start breaking through in these other categories, it'll make it easier for others, right? And so I think there's plenty of space for everybody to win. So yeah, I'm excited to start to see like the niche audiences start to develop a little bit more.
Yep.
My 2 biggest takes. Number 1, I'm glad. I hope Luca succeeds because this is just one more attempt to destigmatize NFTs, which, my God, do we need? And number 2, do you remember at the height of the bull run when a lot of our tech associates would say, why are you guys trying to do a comic or a show, or why are you doing anything with legacy media at all? You need to look forward, not backward. And now it seems like that whole narrative has completely flipped. to NFTs need to be doing what media has been doing for 100 years: make plushies, make things that the mainstream is comfortable with. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got a lot of flack for like working on a TV show and a comic and whatever, and people saying, "Oh, you're just a Web 2 company like trying to exploit Web 3, right?" And then, it's a year later, those people have kind of left, and then it's like someone breaks into retail and it's like, "This is amazing. Look at how they're able to
Yeah.
like grow another revenue stream without inflating their holders," right? That's
Yep.
fine. It's just like I think you just work every day to try to be like true to the vision and to grow the project, and you can't listen to everyone who's going to criticize everything you do, I suppose. Like
Everyone has an opinion.
it's always a mixed bag, right? Like some people have opinions that are useful, of course, right? But Matt, you have your hand raised.
Yep. I was just going to say quickly to circle back to the destigmatizing Web3 thing. I noticed one thing that I feel like went under the radar is that in the thread that they announced the Pudgy, they also announced that they are including other projects within like their digital Pudgy collection. I guess you can get from scanning the QR code. So they have like DGods and they have like Sappy Shields and stuff. And they're
Right.
including like certain like they have like just like one accessory or whatever from those collections, but like it's just there so that way it kind of like spreads like more awareness of like these other brands. And so like not to pretty much like want to like obviously piggyback off their success or anything, but I think it's good for them and like it's mutually beneficial because like obviously it destigmatizes the space. And I think that it also creates incentive for other products to go like, hey, let's go and try to make connections with Pudgies and see if we can get our products in there and just in general be very helpful for brand awareness. Even people. So what I'm saying is, if Bear has any connection, probably
Mhm.
get like a Forgotten Runes project, Forgotten Runes item in there. That would probably be pretty cool. I
Yeah,
think it's
Matto,
helpful.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think that was a really smart move that they did.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's actually a really good segue into this next pretty big thing that we want to talk about. We've got a GoblinTown update. Um, the reason I say it's a segue, I'm going to go ahead and introduce it this way, Dotta and Bear, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we've, all through our project's lifespan, and really just with Web3 in general, a, a prevailing notion is that it helps to benefit with other projects and to reach out and collaborate, and that is so true. You see Luca doing it with Pudgy Penguins. We've done it several times in the past. We did it with our last trick or treat event where we invited other projects to knock on the Imp store. We're obviously collaborating with some other blockchain games like Nifty Island and Legends of the Mara and Nifty League. Our whole Ordinals thing was an attempt to bring an entirely new community to Forgotten Runes. Dota's experiment with this app Words has been bringing a lot of new attention to Forgotten Runes. And so with GoblinTown, I think we have found another way to do this. So Dota or Bear, do you guys want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
take it?
So for GoblinTown, one of the things that we're considering is submitting a proposal to ApeDAO to basically use ApeCoin in GoblinTown. So it would be really cool. The proposal that we're pitching would be that they would provide some money up front for us to do it, which would help us like recoup the costs we've had in building it, and then they'd also put up a prize pool. And so we'd figure out kind of how we'd split this prize pool. I can talk a little bit more about that, but like basically the ApeDAO, we have some we've been making more connections with folks over there, and we've showed them the game and they're like kind of interested, so it would still have to get passed in a vote, but we're thinking about basically making GoblinTown use ApeCoin for both for like kind of anybody who wants to mint, you would use ApeCoin, and then also for the prize pool. So we don't have exact numbers, but we're like hoping to get in order of like hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of ApeCoin to basically pass out as rewards. So, yeah, it should be fun. It should bring in a lot of apes. I think it's kind of, um, well, it's unknown if it passes, right? So I think what the timeline basically looks like is we drop the trailer on next Monday. I don't know if we talked about this. We were going to drop the trailer this week, but with like the Pudgy stuff and Legends of Mara dropping, we just realized like it was just going to get buried. So we'll launch the trailer next week, and then I think we're going to submit a proposal to the ApeDAO next week. It takes like 3 weeks, right? Because it's like you propose it, or you give like a draft, and then it's like a request for comments, and people give you comments, and then you actually have to put it up for a vote. So, you know, I don't think that there's any downsides to the Wizards for this, in particular because the Wizards are, of course, getting a massive airdrop for, well, just for being a wizard, right? So, like, so for being a wizard holder, soul holder, like owning the Forgotten Runes tokens, you'll get an airdrop, and that will happen kind of regardless. Like if you're a wizard, you don't actually have to pay any mint money in order to play GoblinTown. Like, of course, you'll have to pay gas or whatever on the chain, but like you as a wizard, you'll get airdropped a some certain number of crates, and then you'll be able to kind of just play the game with out of the box with those crates that you get. So there's like no cost to you as a wizard holder. I think if this DAO proposal passes, then that will provide like a larger prize pool, or really maybe even a prize pool at all, for like the first season, let's say. I think if we don't have a prize pool, there's a way to run this game without a prize pool. It's designed to just like run forever without it. I think a lot of games have run like this. But if we get the proposal from ApeDAO, we'll have a prize pool. We are still figuring out how to like make things as fair as possible. We're talking about maybe doing like a wizards only server, right? Like we take a snapshot and there's like a game that's like a global game. Maybe there's a game for apes and a game for wizards, right? Because I think that there is a bit of like one of the challenges with any crypto game is like how do you make sure that like at least within a community it feels fair and fun to play, right? Like it might feel as a wizard a bit like outsized to play against like the entire ape community, for example, when there's an opportunity that they can use ape coin to like buy new crates, right? So like we're thinking about that. How do you manage that? And I think what we've basically come up with is there'll be like a global server. If we do this, there will be like a wizards only server, and there would be probably an ape server if they want it. So I think that's all the points. But basically, the mints for it would be all in ape coin, which would bring in a lot of apes, right? And then the apes would become aware of Forgotten Runes more. It's a little, yeah, it's crazy how many of the apes we've talked to who like haven't seen the Forgotten Runes trailer, for example, and then when we talk to them, they get won over. So yeah, so that's a proposal. So we're sharing a proposal, right? Like it hasn't passed. We don't know what they'll say. DAOs vote no as often as they vote yes. You know, all the regular disclaimers. But also just wanted to give you guys a heads up so you don't like see the proposal and be surprised by it.
Yeah, I just think it's a win-win-win. I mean, I'm obsessed with network effects, and what better way to expand the Forgotten Runes network than to dip into the largest PFP project, Bored Apes, and the whole Yuga community, than like introduce our game to them. I mean, they're going to be exposed to Forgotten Runes, and you know that's it's really just half the battle of any of these NFT projects is just scaling.
And it's very hard, like it's very hard for DAOs to pass anything, particularly of the amount of money that we're asking for, right? So like I'm not coming here saying like, oh, we for sure have it in the bag. No, I think it's like 50-50, right? Easily we could come back to you in a month and be like, yeah, it failed. Fine.
Yep.
Like we're gonna launch it regardless, right? Like we're gonna launch this game, and we'll play it, and it will be super fun, whether or not ApeDAO wants to be on board. Fine. That said, I don't think that there are like this many opportunities in front of ApeDAO of like a game that is like pretty much almost built. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be on chain. It's going to be like a sync for ApeCoin. You know, it's by us, so they know that we'll actually deliver. So I think there's lots of like fun ideas there, and it's a good bet for the DAO to make, I suppose. So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see what happens.
I also just want to reiterate, if it does pass, the potential prize pool would be so much bigger than without it passing.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who, like, if here's the thing, this market is quite slow in terms of mints. Like, for us to launch GoblinTown in the next like 3 months or whatever, I'm not like, I don't want to like jinx it or whatever, but I'm not expecting like some massive mint that then gives us like all this money to pass out as a prize pool. I just don't see it. For me, I think for us to kind of like launch it within the next like this year basically means that we're doing it as like an event to kind of like reward the cult and entertain the cult and to like ship it and get it out. We've had it, we've had it stewing for a year now. So it wouldn't really be to make money in the first place. I mean, I think it'll be very popular. I think people will actually love it, right? Like people are looking for something to do, and maybe it'll even invent a new meta. But I'm just saying that like I'm not gonna like commit ahead of time, being like, oh yeah, there's like a $300,000 prize pool. Like I just don't see it.
I'm just excited to drop the trailer.
The trailer is so good.
Trailer's so good.
I don't think we compliment Pixel Shop enough.
Agreed.
Yeah, we need to have them up here, like maybe during the launch of GoblinTown. But they're so good. They're just so good.
They should come on next week, and I think maybe some of the ApeCoin DAO guys are going to come on too.
Awesome.
They were I showed them the trailer, and they were like, they freaked. They thought it was so awesome, and yeah, I mean all the stuff that Dotta was saying. I think most people who submit a proposal for a DAO is like, hey, I want to make X, and if you give me the money, in a year and a half, like I'll come back with the thing. So they were just they felt very bullish just in the fact that because the game's basically built, that we could sort of launch it quite quickly. So people want things to do. I think it's a whole new category of on-chain games, honestly, and super proud of it. So yeah, so more to come. Trailer drops Monday, and then I think we'll probably submit the proposal shortly thereafter, same week, and we should find out relatively quickly within 3 or 4 weeks.
Jay-Z asks, and he says, remind me how wizards are related to the GoblinTown game, or is it more or less separate from the NFTs? Like if you don't know any wizards, can you still play? And so the answer is anyone can play if you have resources, right? So like there will be a mint, and you can mint a crate, and within that crate you'll get your first settlement and some roads and maybe a few other things. So anyone can mint and then participate in the game. The wizards, and the warriors, and we'll clarify the numbers as we get closer. But you'll basically get airdropped crates just by the nature of like being a holder. So it's not like you're gonna kind of like ride around on a goblin as your wizard in the game or anything like that. It's a separate game. It's a board game. It's a bit like inspired by Settlers of Catan, but with battles. And so, as being a Forgotten Ruins holder, it's sort of this game that takes place within the GoblinTown world. When you see the artwork for the game and in the trailer, you will feel right at home because it's very much like Forgotten Ruins core in terms of the aesthetic. So that's the relation. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a wizard holder, you're gonna get airdropped GoblinTown game pieces. If you're asking narratively, how does it relate? Just real quick, I mean, GoblinTown has been on the Runiverse map since day one. It's just a part of the Runiverse, and the reason we wanted to make a game around it is just because we kind of feel like just that term GoblinTown. It's been used to describe a market that's, I guess, synonymous with Bear Winter, where everybody is just degenerate and just not bullish. And so we wanted to make a game to sort of commemorate that sentiment. And so yeah, it's we've been working on it for way too long. We will openly admit that, but it's coming. We're getting close to launch, and I'm actually really excited about that.
Is it going to be on an L2?
Yes. Yeah. We've been saying we're going to put it on Arbitrum.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted. It's been a while since I wasn't sure if it was confirmed or not. I think before it was kind of like up in the air if it was going to be on Arbitrum or somewhere else. But
yeah,
okay, cool.
I really have been enjoying base, and it wasn't really part of the conversation back then. But we've had good conversations with Arbitrum. They've been very supportive, and so Arbitrum is what we've been planning on so far.
I feel like Arbitrum's a good bet. Base is just kind of like shiny and new right now, but there's been plenty of times where I've seen people jump to the shiny new chain only for them to abandon it once the killer app dies off.
Right.
They also had a shiny new marketplace that didn't get any like market flows. So I don't know.
Yep, that's true. But I feel like base has been embraced by like crypto natives. Well, a lot more. I could talk about what I thought that they could have done on Coinbase NFT better, but with Base, they've done a good job, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, just to wrap it up, yeah, we're gonna submit to ApeDAO, GoblinTown. It's the launch is in sight, and I'm actually really excited about it. So we'll see how it goes. We'll keep you updated. Zay, you came up here. Did you have a question, comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that I think I'm gonna be hosting that mint pretty soon. Maybe like I'm thinking around October 1st or the start of the month. But if you guys want to like go over to my page and look at the I just tweeted it out. But yeah, we're gonna have a few things up for collectors to collect. The Secret Tower being one of them. A cathartic moment when we're getting ready to summon and you're just like refreshing the page and it's counting down the blocks. I managed to get some screenshots of that. And
Wait,
with Elf's
Zay, tell
permission.
us more about what exactly. I'm looking at it, but I need you to tell us on what exactly you're minting.
Okay, so it's an opportunity for everyone in the community to, well, with Elf's permission, of course, to collect the Secret Tower as like just an art piece or JPEG. And yeah, this was a moment before the summon happened where we're just counting down the blocks, we're refreshing the page. It's a really cathartic moment. And this is just like a memoir to that like moment, I guess. And if you look at it, there's different like layers of whatnot to it. So at 3 blocks remain, it's kind of plain. And the closer you get down to 1 block remaining, like more layers and the Secret Tower kind of comes alive. And then like when the summon starts at block 0, it's all shiny and like lit up and has like everything kind of on there. So yeah.
No, I love it. And what about this skateboard?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, for anybody that collects the one of ones, I'm working on some merch right now. I'm probably airdrop them some merch tokens and shit so they can pick from the shop, like anything they want. So
Nice.
yeah. I've been working on a few things for like a while now. I think it's a good time to start like releasing some of the content.
Oh yeah. And then it says minting soon, but do you have an exact date?
No, I was trying to maybe think of a block. I was trying to get a block number rather than a date and time.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna go around the 1st of October is where I'm trying to land it at.
Right. Okay, you said that. I'm just I just want to put it on my calendar.
Okay.
Sweet. That's a Sunday. All right.
Right. Yeah.
Mint. Cool. Well, thanks, Zay. Yeah, everybody check that out. We're almost out of time. Dotta, do you want to give any words updates?
Yeah, sure. So this week I was working on words. I'm going to work on words for another week or two, and then we'll kind of see. I think we'll see where it's at. It is a bit of a distraction, albeit a fun one. It's fun to kind of just ship new features every day, see people in the Secret Tower. I hope Wheezies are enjoying it and don't feel too slighted at my divided attention, but I've been having fun. Oz really summed up how I feel about words, and he said, "I love everything about words except that nobody buys my words." Yeah, it's like I love the game of it. I love making a word every day. I love like collecting other people's words, but I think it really falls short in terms of like any kind of like shelling point to like aggregate around one specific word and kind of like have that experience of other people coming around it and collecting the same one. So there's a lot of like little bugs that we may fix if more people start using it. I think in particular the biggest things that we're working on just to like test the loop is notifications, push notifications. Winniski's been doing great on that, and I'm sure you got some this morning if you have the app. And then we're also working on chat. I'm even actually using. Waz has been helping out a ton on this. I think we're even going to use like this service that helps implement chat so we can get it out like super duper fast in like a matter of days instead of building it for weeks and weeks. So yeah, we should have chat out. I'm actually even hoping we have chat out this week. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so that's words. Words is going to get chat, and we'll see what people like after that.
What about
I think.
trading metrics?
Oh yeah, and yeah, we'll add a little bit more better metrics around your portfolio. Around like what you have collected. We'll add some metrics there that'll make it a little bit easier to kind of see like what you paid for things versus like what the current price is now. Woz is working on some of those things too.
That's actually the thing that I'm most excited about, because I buy a word and then a few minutes later I have no idea what I paid for it, so I have no idea if I can sell it for a profit.
Well, collected for the culture, right? Yeah.
Sure, I certainly have a few of those, but I'm not so sure most of the users of words are doing that.
Yeah, so we'll be adding more things to help you better understand kind of like what you paid for things. But again, this app is maybe a bit of a distraction, and so we're not going to spend a whole much longer time on it, right? We're going to get GoblinTown out. GoblinTown is coming up quick, so we'll spend a couple more weeks on it and then see how everybody likes it.
Well, I think my favorite thing about words is honestly how much cult content I've seen on it.
Yeah.
Wizards have really kind of taken over the word app, which is great. We wanted to see that. I think I've decided I'm only going to make cult content on the words app. I saw like Osanu Crypto minted Wizard Wednesday, which I can't believe that hasn't been minted yet. Tanya's been doing some really great words. Sweetbread made that adorable kobold.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, so many cult members have made some really great cult content on words.
And if you didn't notice, we pushed followers, I think yesterday or Monday. And so what you can do is you go to someone's profile, you click the star. Now you're following them. You should get push notifications about what they create and buy. Our push notifications are kind of blinky. We need to work on the reliability there. It's just a big experiment. But in any case, you can look under your following feed, and it will show you all the words created by people that you're following, which is super fun. I think if we can get the loop right of like, maybe people like having chat rooms, for example, and so they come back every day and aggregate around certain words, then I think that there's more that justifies more work on like the discovery aspect. So, for example, you could imagine a collection of ASCII art, a collection of words by wizards, right? There's like all sorts of like curation that should be done in order to make it easier to find old words. Because what happens now is everybody creates their word per day, and then it just like falls off the charts. And so, without that, I just think that the app will just sort of like fizzle out. So yeah, it's an experiment. We've learned a lot of things I'd like to bring back into Wizards.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
that's the important thing, is like how much of this learning we're going to apply to Forgotten Runes.
Yeah, exactly. If you like words, we have a words thread in the alpha chat in the tavern. I would love to hear the things that you feel it needs to kind of uh, grow better, I suppose. But yeah, having a lot of fun with it in a very slow market, that's for sure.
Yep. Okay, let's go over week 36 of the Cult Content Chronicle.
Whoop, whoop.
Every damn week.
Every damn week, by the illustrious Tanya Del Rio. Kicking us off, and I know that's a pun, Tanya. Kicking us off is Wise Sam. He shared some custom shoes. And he's calling them Forgotten Runes Air Forces. I saw what's that project, RTFK? Artifact.
Artifact.
They did a crossover with Nike. And why, Sam? I think your Forgotten Runes shoes look better than those. So that's my opinion.
Doodles.
Better than Doodles. Yeah, exactly. And then Daniela Illustra finished coloring the Chaos Chimera. You know what's funny about this, Daniela, that I did not notice in the black and white drawing is you attached the wings to the goat on the Chimera's back. That's a really fun design that I had not considered, but it's very cool. Shadowy 30 has been making some really fun illustrations. Yeah, Shadowy, these are great. Do the whole collection, please.
He did do the whole collection.
Wait, he really did the whole collection?
Yeah, that they were mentioning it when we were talking about the anime wizards or show style wizards earlier.
I missed
That
that.
I actually don't know if the entire collection is done, but he's done a lot of them.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, they're beautiful, man. My favorite shield maiden, Joan Danger of Riffraff, shared some great new fan art. Is that what you call it? Of her warrior. And then Hello Pleasures, who has a new name, George Washington's AR-15, made a really fun project, which was, I guess, inspired by a conversation we talked about. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. But basically, progress bars of all the things that Forgotten Runes is working on, and can we trust that these progress bars are accurate to the real life progress we're making?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it now, and I would increase the progress on GoblinTown and decrease. Yeah. Hello, pleasures. These progress bars are way off, man. Way off.
It's also tricky with the progress bars because we may like look at something like the shadow hats and the shadows. Like that project is done from like a work perspective, but
Yeah.
it's not the right time to launch them. So
Yeah.
how do you measure that on a
On
progress
a
bar? I guess
simple linear bar.
yeah, I mean maybe you like do it at 100%, but it's not shipped, and then it's like maybe more confusing. I don't know. It's
Right.
tough.
I mean, you're kind of describing why we never made one of these. But no, pleasures. This is great. We're glad you made it. I enjoy it, even if it's not accurate to real life. I guess we could like troll newcomers to the cult with it at the very least. Jimmy Jag shared a really fun illustration of his wizard as a tropical island. I think have you guys seen like this new AI art meme where it's like a hidden image within an image?
Yeah, like the swirl and stuff, like the
Yeah.
words. Yeah,
Yeah. How do you know how those are being made?
it's a control net. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
using control net. It's a specific control net model. It's the one that was used for QR codes back when like that first came out. And I think that like a lot of people were like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you can make a QR code and like cool designs or whatever. But taking that and extrapolating it further, it's like, well, if you can do it with QR codes, anything that's kind of like a geometric shape, you can utilize it for. And so it leaned in more on that. So like it was originally made for QR codes, and then people kind of tooled it out, and they're like, they got expressive with it, and they're like, you can do other things with it that are really cool. So
I wonder if Jimmy Jag used ControlNet or just drew it by hand.
It's really surprising too, the results that are coming out, because I would say like half of the ones that I see of that style, when you actually look at it really closely, you can't even really tell. Like it doesn't look that unnatural up close. So it's really, really fun.
Yeah, it is impressive. Okay, Tabitha shared a piece of a real life painting, something that's rare these days. Tabitha, beautiful piece. I like the sparkly glaze over the top. And man, now that I'm looking at it, this is like the pixels. It's pixel perfect. Yeah, nice job. VMark, I was looking at this meme this morning. It's pretty damn funny. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to describe it, but yeah, have a look at the meme that VMark shared, how heroes are forged. But yeah, I mean, Forgotten Runes is inspired by all these stories for sure. Matatsuki, speaking of memes, it shared another one. Matto, I am not familiar with this meme that you're memeing. Do you want to tell us about this?
it was literally just the pasta that I saw on my timeline, and I was like, "Oh, that's cute," and I just posted. I was playing around with my model, like I was like learning some tools for, like posing and stuff, like VRM models.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I was like, I also posted like 2 other images that day. So yeah, it was just a cute meme. I think it was initially like somebody they post like a selfie. of like she was just at her table and kind of had like a sorrowful face on, like, oh no, nobody's visiting nobody's interacting with my post or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll do the same thing.
It feels very e-girl Tumblr.
Yeah, that's what the initial one gave off too. I can post it later, so it had the same feel.
And it's like the expression you put on Magus Devon's face is so perfect for it. Yeah, well done. Okay, and then Magic Monday News posted a really fun poster. Yeah, that's nice. Dotta, did you show up on a Magic Monday News? Because you are on this poster.
No.
Huh, interesting. Oh, wait, I'm there too, and I didn't show up either. Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't
we
know
have
what's
to
going on
go.
in this poster.
Wait a minute, I've gone to that show and I'm not on the poster.
And
What the
you're not on the
hell?
poster.
I think
Even Waz made it on the poster, and he hasn't spoken once.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. I
Although
get
he
it.
is
I get
ringing
the
the
I get
bell.
the hint, Henboyd. I get it.
That's good. And then yeah, it looks like speaking of Magic Monday news, last week, or I guess a few days, or last Monday, sorry, they had Bill Gaines as a special guest. Treat of the week was the Kobold doll. That's a good treat. And of course, they had Wizard Jeopardy. Oh, and then
I had a
what's that?
good conversation with Bill Gaines the other night. It was like late, and it was like 10 o'clock here, and I was grinding, and he was in the cult chat and a few other people. And one of the things that we were talking about is like being able to apply learnings from words to the book of lore, and this idea that like, what if you could collect pages from the book of lore, and then the writer of the book of lore got a fee. I don't think we have the mechanics down right, but stew on that. That's something that we should have as another conversation in a future Wizard Wednesday.
Yeah, it's I think I'm gonna have some opinions on that.
Yeah, good.
I don't know. There's something weird about financializing the book of lore. But putting a financial layer like a few steps removed from it, that might be an interesting topic. Maybe that's what you're saying.
Dotta, is this to like how you're posting about incentivizing people to write more in the book of lore? Is this somewhere along that line?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. There's tons of different ways to do this stuff, but huge topic for another time. The last few bits from the Cult Content Chronicle. Just a reminder that Runes TCG, the second tournament, is available for sign up. Yeah, definitely go to Runes TCG Twitter account to sign up there. Markafine looks like he's working on a really big illustration. Man, Markafine, this looks amazing. I'm like watching the video right now, and there's a bunch of imps in it.
I was mesmerized just by the circles of coloring.
Yeah, totally. Markafine, you're so good, man. That's so much fun. Yeah, this reminds me of like a Peter Bruegel the Elder painting or a Hieronymus Bosch painting, or some kind of illuminated manuscript from some medieval tome. Very cool, Marco. Okay, and then let's see what else we got. Everyday Runes has been making some really fun word art. Basically, the color banding thing based on wizards. Man, I need to buy some of those. And then speaking of words art, Sweetbread made probably the best piece of cult content on words. This yellow kobold eating a donut, super cute. And then ZayLaSoul is of course got a minting project, which he talked about earlier. Definitely go look at Zay's Twitter account. Wise Sam is wrapping up the Chronicle with Dotta. You're playing the bass guitar, just a puppet and a bass.
Hey, I look really cool.
You do. It's beautiful, Wise Sam. And I guess that's it. Thank you, Tanya, as always, for the Cult Content Chronicle. Anything else, guys?
I think that's good for today.
It's a good show. Jam packed.
Yeah. Maddow, Zay, anything else?
Sign my cast.
There's going to be a lot more screes coming down the pike.
Yeah, hold your
especially if that-
ears. Hold your ears on Monday.
Yeah, especially if that DAO proposal gets approved. That'll be very exciting. I'm super excited about it. Like Bear didn't take credit for it, but I'm gonna go ahead and spill the beans. Bear was the one who spearheaded that whole effort. So, Bear, thank you for that.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. All right. Let me just cue up the outro. This has been Elf, Dotta, Bearsnake, Matatsuki, ZayLaSoul, and all the wizards of the Forgotten Runes Wizards cult, channeling out from the Quantum Downs. GN, everybody.
Stay magic.
Bye.